Ni hao. My name is Professor Norman McLeod, and I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to a new course that I'm in the process of preparing for delivery during the spring semester of 2022 at Nanjing University. The course's title is Principles of Paleobiology. When I was an undergraduate student, when I was sitting in your chair, sitting in your position, then paleontology was taught in a traditional format as the scientific study of fossils from an earth science context. And it focused on instruction in the classification of different fossil groups, their interaction with ancient environments, and their use in solving geological problems. That meant that the main foci of traditional paleontological instructional programs were systematics and taxonomy, biostratigraphy, and paleoecology, which actually was a very new addition to the traditional curriculum at the time. And most introductory paleontology courses still focus on these topics. However, from the 1970s onward, paleontology underwent a substantial intellectual revolution, and this is where paleobiology actually comes from. These days, most of the people who teach and work in the area of paleontology are paleobiologists, which means that they approach the study of their subject in an interdisciplinary manner, the interdisciplinary study of fossils, and that combines the methods and findings of both the earth and the life sciences in an effort to understand and solve mostly outstanding biological problems. Traditionally, paleobiologists have been concerned with the quantitative analysis and modeling of fossil morphology, evolutionary rates and trends, and patterns of diversification and extinction. But herein lies a problem, since paleobiology was actually a reaction in the 1970s and henceforth, a reaction to the traditional earth science-focused paleontological curriculum, then many paleobiologists are not trained in those traditional disciplines, in those traditional topics, in those traditional areas. And this actually hurts the paleobiology research program. And one of the things that I'd like to do in this course is to show you how a combination of a paleobiological research focus with a background in traditional paleontology can actually lead to an improved approach to the study and the understanding of the history of life. We're going to do this in the context of this course by talking about a wide variety of different topics. So over the 17 weeks of the course, as you can see here, we'll talk about everything from the basic description and quantitative analysis of morphology all the way down to conservation paleobiology and astrobiology, which are two of the newer paleobiological disciplines. Conservation paleobiology telling us how we can use the fossil record to inform efforts to conserve species, to conserve wildlife, extant wildlife, recent wildlife, the animals and plants we see running around the landscapes today, and astrobiology, of course, how we might, through the study of organisms that live on Earth, get some clues as to where we might look for life on other planets, on Mars, perhaps on some of the moons of Jupiter. This is one of the more exciting aspects of the future of paleontology and the future of paleobiology, at least in my opinion. In terms of the course objectives, the primary course objective is, of course, for you to understand the full scope of contemporary paleobiological research. But we're not going to stop there. I want, through the lectures that I'll give you and through the exercises and through the discussions that we'll have, I want you to gain a working familiarity with the methods and skills that are used in contemporary paleobiological research and how these can be improved through the incorporation of some of those traditional paleontological approaches and paleontological concepts, all in an effort so that you can understand the advantages and indeed the power of integrating traditional paleontological and paleobiological research programs. In a larger sense, though, I would like to use this course to allow you to appreciate the historical development of paleontology and its relation to other earth science and life science disciplines. So there's a lot here for those of you who are perhaps biologists or ecologists, as well as with an interest in fossils and deep time. I'd like, I'd like to show you how science in general, and paleontology in particular, can contribute to the understanding and addressing of contemporary economic, societal, and social concerns. We all do this work in order to address prominent problems that we have in our societies today, and paleontology is no exception. I'd like to show you how paleontology can contribute to these activities, as well as to just the increase in scientific knowledge. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, I'd like it to instill in you an understanding of and an appreciation for the scientific hypothetical deductive method, the approach that scientists use to gain knowledge about the world, as the most efficient and reliable way of gaining this knowledge and fostering human progress. You'll be able, through the examples that I'll give you, you'll be able to understand how you can use the scientific method to address all sorts of problems, not just problems in science, but problems in whatever you choose to do. And by doing that, you will gain a very, very important tool, a very useful tool that you will use in your professional life from here on out. In terms of the parts of the course, there will, of course, be lectures given by myself. I have had over 35 years of experience as a research paleobiologist. I have coming up to 500 published papers, a wealth of experience, almost a dozen different books now. So I would like to share the experience that I've had and the expertise that I've gained with you. Not only my own expertise, but also the knowledge that I've gained from listening to and working with my colleagues over the years. In addition to just me giving you lectures, then there'll be a variety of different ways of presenting the material to you, videos, recordings, discussions. I'd like to make this topic come alive for you, and I actually am pretty good at doing that. At least previous students have noted that on my evaluations. There will be examinations, of course, a midterm and a final, because we're doing this for a grade, and we have to measure how well you've assimilated the material that I've given you. But I'm here to make sure that that you do well on the midterm and final. They're as much of a reflection of my teaching as they are of your performance. And in addition to that, I'd like all the students in the course to write a term paper on a paleobiological topic of their choice. This paper will need to be written in English, and the topic will need to be approved by myself to make sure that it is that it relates to the course topic in some way. However, paleobiology covers such a broad scope of topics that just about anything in the field of natural history can be fit into a paleobiological context, and I'll be happy to work with you to show you how that can be done based on whatever your interests might be. There will be a midterm and a final examination, both of which will count 30% of the grade. In addition, the term paper, which should be about 10 double-spaced pages and be graded for content and originality, but not for English, grammar, spelling, or format. I'm happy to help you with that, and I'm happy to give you practice of that. But I'm interested in your ideas, not in your facility with English. That will also count 30%, and then there'll be a 10% part of the grade for class participation, answering questions, asking questions, participating in discussions, that sort of thing. In terms of the material, I'll be drawing on the best and most recently published material, both in book form and in the primary paleontological literature, paleobiological literature. We're starting to see textbooks in paleobiology appear these days. Here are some of the resources that I'll be using in order to put my lectures together. But they will be based primarily on my own experience. I'll be using these for ideas and examples, but I want to give you the benefit of my experience, not just recitations of somebody else's view of paleobiology. So these are general books, both on the history and the practice of paleobiology, and they're also, I'll be drawing from specialist treatises such as treatises in phylogenetic analysis, paleoecology, and evolutionary theory. So we'll cover all of these topics in the context of this course. And even though I'm not located on the Nanjing campus at the present time, I'm here in the UK, I will be returning to China in January of 2022, going through the quarantine and getting ready to be with you live in the classroom as we present this. For the last 2 years, owing to the pandemic, I've had to do my courses remotely, so I'm very much looking forward to being with my students in the classroom. That will be a big treat for me. And nevertheless, if you have any questions whatsoever about the course, about the way I'm approaching it, about the topics that I'm including in it, then please contact me in the email with the email address or on the WeChat, both of which I look at routinely. And there's more information about the course on the websites, the Nanjing University website and the website that I run for all my courses in the latter URL at the bottom of this page. That's about it for the Principles of Paleobiology course. This is a brand new course. The spring semester 2022 will be the first time that it's taught. So you will be in on the ground floor, so to speak, with our discussions on this topic, and I hope very much that I've whetted your appetite, or at least sparked your interest in exploring more about the topic, if not in considering signing up for the course itself. Once again, if you have any questions about the course, its content, the way I'm approaching it, please contact me. I'm always available for discussions of those sorts. Other than that, I would simply like to thank you for your attention and bid you a good evening. Zaijian.